Hey crew, Mariusz Konieczny here, Microcap Explosions. Some of you have asked me to make a few comments on real estate because of the interview that I did with Marco. Now before I do this, I just want to make one thing clear, because one of you guys made a comment, something a little bit implying that maybe I got paid for this interview. So if one person is writing it in the comment, then probably 10 other people thought about it. So first of all, I don't do promotional content, okay? In other words, I don't take money to put anything on my YouTube channel. And I will say that you're never gonna get any promotional content from me. And well, maybe not like never, but probably never. And so just so that I can leave the door open just in case. But if I were to do a promotional content, you would definitely know. For sure, you would definitely know. I would let you know. But it's not because like there's no interest. I do get emails from people being interested in paying me to provide content or promotional content. For example, one company, of course a gold company, contacted me and offered me $4,000 to interview the CEO. All I had to do is just interview the CEO. And I said, there's no money that is going to make me do this. And then they said, well, 10,000. And I said, no, I'm not gonna do it. And the guy was just like, just name your price. And I said, there is no price. There's no price for which I will do this. And it's not because like I think that the company is shit. Like if it's a gold company, I already hate it, but that doesn't mean it's shit. And in order for me to find out if it's shit, it would require a tremendous amount of work. And so I hate the sector. I'm not gonna do this. And I can't, do due diligence on every company that wants to pay me. So that's out of the way. Now, I will in the future do hopefully more interviews like I did with Marco on various different topics, just because I think that they are useful. They are useful for us to learn about other things. So don't read into it too much that they're paying me or whatever. If I'm interviewing somebody, that means I find it useful. I find it useful for you, and that's it. Okay, there might be more than one reason why I'm doing it, but I will never do it unless I think it's useful. All right, that's out of the way. Now let's talk about real estate. So I am thinking about real estate. I came from the real estate background. I am thinking about real estate for the sake of generating some income and diversification. Look, Oracle goes to 5. My second biggest position does well. My third biggest position, I think it will do 5x soon. I'm gonna be sitting on some serious money. And now, why can't I take a portion of it and put it into hard assets that generate a monthly income? It just makes sense. But not only that, you see, based on the interview that I did with Marco, he said something like $100,000 buys you for anywhere between 1 to 4 properties. So let's say 5 properties, right? For simplification. So now, of course, I'm not going to be investing $100,000. In my case, it would be like $1 million, right? So it would get me 50 properties. So think about this now. 50 properties, I'll do it, when I'm ready, whether it's in a year or 6 months from now, depending on where the stocks are. So that buys me 50 properties, right? And that would be like less than 10% of my portfolio at that point. And let's say I do it again the following year and I buy another 50 properties. And right now I'm just talking about like, residential properties, right? So I have 100 properties that are cash flowing, bringing me monthly income, and are professionally managed. So I don't have to do it, right? Because like I don't think I could even do 100 properties if I wanted to, but I don't want to. So I want a professional money, a professional property management to do this for me, right? And now, here's the difference between like commercial and residential. And I always liked commercial, and I still do. I like, mobile home parks, but I'm just kind of open-minded now. So that's why I wanted to listen to his, argument for residential properties. And I get it, because when you buy a commercial property, whether it's an apartment, office, industrial, whatever, you see, you can only get up to like 70 or 80% loan to value, right? So in other words, you have to put down 20 to 30% down. And it's similar on residential properties when they are not your primary residence. You got to put down like 20% minimum. Now, but what the difference is that with commercial, you have a balloon payment, okay? In other words, every 5 years, you have to refinance. And that could be problematic, because let's say you buy an office building that's worth $1 million, you put down 20%. So you put down $200,000, you get a loan for $800,000, okay? And that valuation of $1 million is based on the income that this property generates. That's what commercial properties are all about. Most of the value is attached to the income statement. Okay, let's say in 5 years, something happens to the economy and you lose a bunch of tenants, your income drops, and now your property doesn't generate the same amount of income. Consequently, it's not worth, on paper, $1 million anymore, right? But now you got to pay back the loan. And 5 years later, your loan is still huge, okay? Still very close to $800,000, and you got to pay it back. Either you got to pay it back with your own money, or you have to refinance it. Now, if you're going to refinance it and your property now says it's worth $700,000, how are you going to get $800,000 to pay it back, right? You're only going to get 80% of $700,000. So you got to come up with more money on your own, right? So that's what makes it riskier, just because of that 5-year balloon. Now, on residential properties, what he was saying is that if you have them as an investment property, yes, you have to put down 20%, but you can get a 30-year fixed mortgage that doesn't have the 5-year balloon. In other words, you can just keep that mortgage forever. So if your property doesn't, perform temporarily at the level that it should, that's okay. As long as you can keep paying the loan, you can keep the loan. And now, so let's give an example of a house that's $100,000 and you have to put down 20 and you get a loan on 80. Now, because you rent it out and the tenant pays you rent, you have some cash flow, right? And you also pay down the loan every month. So in 30 years, the house is fully paid off, okay? Completely paid off. But now, even if it wasn't paid off, let's say that the loan always stays at 80,000. You know that the governments are creating inflation, right? You know that. So you know that 80,000 is going to be worth less and less. So your loan, you owe less and less in real terms, right? But the value of the property in US dollars or fiat money is going to continue going up, not because the property becomes more valuable. It's because the governments around the world are destroying their currency, because they keep printing money and they keep creating inflation. So the value of your property goes up, the value of your mortgage goes down. That's how you build wealth. But in addition to this, of course, this $80,000 loan, it's not going to stay $80,000 because your tenants are paying it down. So after 30 years, you own it free and clear. And while you own it, while it generates monthly income for you, you barely pay any taxes on that income because you get depreciation. You see, on those properties, anything but land can be depreciated for 27.5 years. So in other words, let's just say the land is zero and you bought it for $100,000. Every year you get to deduct $100,000 divided by 27.5. And that's a deduction. That's a deduction against your income, even though you didn't spend this money, right? Well, you did, but you didn't spend it like that year. You get to deduct it, and as a result, you pay very little taxes on this cash flow. Now, a lot of people don't understand depreciation because they think it's like a free expense, free money. No, depreciation is real because when you buy a property, in order to generate that rent income, you have to have a fixed asset. So you bought the property. If you didn't buy the property, you wouldn't have the rent money. So just like any fixed asset, you get to depreciate it over the years. And so here's where people don't understand it. If you buy a property for $100,000 and you sell it 2 years later for $120,000, you pay, capital gains on the difference, right? Assuming it's not your personal property, because there are exemptions. But you pay capital gains on the $20,000 difference, okay? Now, if you buy the property today for $20,000 and 30 years later, it's you sell it for $300,000, you might think, well, I'm going to pay capital gains on the $200,000, which is the difference between $300,000 and $100,000 that you paid for it. No, that's wrong. You're going to pay capital gains on the entire $300,000. You know why? Because you depreciated it completely after 20 something years. So in other words, your cost basis is zero. So you have to take 300,000 minus zero, which is 300,000. That's your gain. Now, of course, you can defer it by never selling the property, right? You just can't keep it. Or you can 1031 it. If you don't know, you can look up 1031 exchange. So there are ways, but the point is that people don't understand depreciation. It's nice, but it's not completely free. Okay, so now that we have this out of the way, so what am I thinking? Okay, so let's say if I can buy 100 properties professionally managed, right? It will cost me $2 million or something over whatever. It's going to be a small portion. Now, I buy it today, I plant the seed today. It will generate, I don't know, maybe each property $500 of free cash flow per month. But after 30 years, okay, I completely own them free and clear. And think about it. Let's say 100 people, 100 families paying me, I'm going to be conservative, $1,000 per month in rent, right? So 100 times $1,000 per month times 100, that's 10,000. That's $100,000 per month of rental income, right? When I'm 70 years old, 30 years from now. Now, that alone is a pretty freaking good retirement, right? And I plant a seed today with very little of my own money. And that kind of income has no association with the stock market, has no association with microcap explosions or whatever projects I do. It's completely passive income because somebody else is managing the property, right? Somebody else is collecting, I pay them, somebody else does the repairs and all that, and I just get the benefit of it. So that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking long term, but look, I didn't do this when I started off. Why? Because the real estate, I can do better. I can do better in the stock market. And with the picks that I do, I can generate significantly more money. But then I can take some of it and I can put it back into these hard assets that generate a totally different kind of income, passive income, and that's it. So that's what this was all about. And talking with Marco a little bit opened my eyes a little bit because I was very much against single family homes. I wanted to be in commercial, and there's pluses and minuses with this. The benefit of being in single family homes is that this is the most desirable asset class from the point of view of renters and buyers, right? So it's liquid. I can sell it very much quicker than an apartment or mobile home park, right? If I need to. Now, renters, if you buy a quality type of property in a good school, in a good area, you're going to get a higher quality renter because look, which parent doesn't want their kids to go to a good school, right? Which parent doesn't want their kids to have a yard, and garage and their own bedroom and all that. So you get a higher quality, maybe some professional tenants that are probably higher quality tenants than maybe apartment tenants, okay? Or even mobile home park tenants. But you know, that's kind of like what I'm thinking. So anyway, if you have any questions, put them down below, and that's it for this video. That's what I was thinking. Thanks a lot.